Today I've come to a perfectly heavenly garden here in Lake Forest, a gorgeous space, and it's got a long history. It was designed in the early 20th century by Rose Standish Nichol, who was a very important garden designer of the time, and then redone to her specifications about a century later by Craig Bergman Designs, a very prominent Chicago landscape designer. That's what's happened to this entire property. It's a beautiful old house called the House of the Four Winds, completed in 1909 as a summer home for the McBurney family by Howard Van Doren Shaw, the architect, designed so that you could open up the windows and be surrounded by the breeze, the sounds of the garden, the smells of the garden. Let's go on in and see what has happened to it over time. It's pretty remarkable. On my way in to meet Ann Lyon, the agent selling the house, and I passed a bust of Howard Van Doren Shaw, the architect of the house, who lived just a few blocks away. And I point that out because it feels as if I've come to meet you and him here in 1909 when he's just taking the wrapping paper off the house.
It does feel that way, but I must say, when my clients, the Redfields, bought this home in 1974, it was not in this condition. It was in terrible condition, on the verge. Many people thought it should be torn down.
Oh, wow.
My clients fell in love with it and knew that they wanted to restore it and bring it back to life.
And they really have done that. In this room alone, I mean, we know that they've redone the plaster framing around the ceiling and they kept the molds, right? So somebody can do further work if necessary.
Right, they've actually made molds of all of the plaster detailing in this home. So where there was damage, they were able to replicate exactly what was here.
Wonderful. And then one of the things they told me is on the windows, this I love, the window hardware, which can be made very cheaply. They actually they did it the hard way. They took the hardware that Shaw had chosen for the windows, dipped it, restored it. So this is what Howard Van Doren Shaw put on the windows 102 years ago.
Yes, and the windows and screens, storms, everything has been refurbished to actually function for a year-round home, because the McBurneys used this as a summer home, and they've made it a year-round home.
That's great. And well, one of the things they'd use in the winter, I think probably more than as a summer home, would be this astonishing fireplace. This is gorgeous.
Yes, and this is one of the items my clients fell in love with. At the entry, they loved the groin vaults, but this fireplace, the huge, massive brackets that support this massive mantle with a Gothic yet Moorish detailing with plaster moldings at the top. And then when they bought the home, the brickwork of masonry around the hearth was actually painted white, and they were able to remove it, and where it wouldn't come off, had someone come in and hand paint each tile to look like the original tile. Wow. They really went down to the smallest level of detail.
It sounds as if they did, including in this room. This is a wonderful room with the plaster work, and we should mention the fruit baskets are visible because, as you and I both know, that's in a lot of Howard Van Doren Shaw's buildings, including Market Square in downtown Lake Forest. But they've got just the gorgeous plaster work and the windows and the wrought iron, and there's a story to the wrought iron as well.
Hugh McBurney, who this home was built for, had a lot of the wrought iron work commissioned. He had a passion for wrought iron. So you'll notice the gates that lead out to the strolling garden, and all of the exterior doors, the level of wrought iron detailing is amazing and very, very unique in this home. You've
also taken us out to the garden. We should talk for a minute about how this room in particular leads out into that garden. We've got windows on three sides, of course, for viewing it, but we go out to a nice porch that overlooks the garden, big sheltered porch, and it's one of three. There's another one behind the house here, right?
Exactly.
And a really charming one off the kitchen.
Off of the kitchen.
Much homier.
Right, so basically you have on the four elevations of the home, you have either the main entry or these covered porches or an open terrace overlooking the grounds. And from the morning room, you have windows, like you mentioned, on the three sides. And the spine, the linear detail of this home leads you to have views on either three sides or two sides of the home. So in some rooms, you end up with four. So it really helps bring the inside, unite the interior and exterior.
Oh, that's terrific. Let's talk about a couple of the other first floor rooms. The dining room, we've talked about the Moorish influence in there, but that feels like a very English arts and crafts room. It's more formal than some.
It does. It is more formal. The level of detailing, the way Shaw designed all of the moldings, the crown, the base, the walls have panels that are, again, plaster. The ceilings, the beam ceilings, even have a motif that has a Moorish influence, but it gives a level of elegance to this space. The lighting you'll find throughout the house, a lot of the original chandeliers are throughout the home, and add a lot of detail.
That's great. Slightly less detailed would be the family room, the room that they call the new room. I get such a kick out of the fact that it was built in the 60s, but it's called the new room because everything else on the house is original.
Yeah.
Little less detail in there, and then we get to the kitchen, which I like for a lot of reasons. One is it's big. They've tried to keep it in the period. It's got the spaces off to the sides, the two sort of pantry, storage, office rooms, whatever you want to use them for, and then that adorable servant's dining room.
Right, and that they have converted into a den. And the level of detail, again, one of the panels was missing from one of the built-ins, and they rebuilt all of the doors from that one.
Then let's work our way up to the bedroom floor via that great staircase. It's set off to the side. It's got its own sort of processional space. It's got the Charles Rennie Mackintosh tribute in the stair rail, lots of sun, and then you get up to that, what you called a spine.
The entire second floor hallway connects the 6 bedroom suites with the master at the end.
Really a great long hallway and a gallery space, exactly. And then we get to that master bedroom, which is a suite. It's got a bathroom. We should mention several of the other bedrooms have their own baths as well. But it's a suite because it was an expanded bedroom. Started out as kind of a modest master bedroom, but then from what we heard, Shaw was called back in to enclose what had been a sleeping porch, make it the master, right? So we've got a 2-room suite, 2 rooms for our master suite, each with a fireplace.
Right, and the fireplaces are meticulously detailed with marble, beautiful marble fireplaces, again, original lighting, and the views from the master suite are magnificent.
Oh yeah, it's wonderful. You can imagine it as a sleeping porch, but as a sleeping room, as a bedroom. It's got the windows on all 3 sides, the doors open up. I can just imagine the gardens sort of flowing in, the sounds and the smells of the garden coming in at me.
That is one of the things that's so magical about this home that Shaw and Rose Standish Nichols achieved, just uniting the interior and the exterior, and it's evident in every room of this house.